Good morning, children. This is your maths teacher Amrita Banerjee. Children, I would like to discuss this exercise 2.2. Children, when we have solved the question, actually, I have forgotten to mention the property that we have used in all the questions. Okay, so children, here we can see that we have done the rearrangement and we can add the numbers in any order, and since we have more than two numbers, so it will be associative property of addition, children. Okay, and if we were having two numbers and that can be added in any order, we would have written the commutative property. But since here we are having more than two numbers, here we are having three numbers, and we are adding it in any order, so that's why the property used will be your associative property. Fine, this is the property which is mentioned in your book. In this place, we can even write rearrangement property, but associative property of addition would be more accurate. Similarly, for question number B as well, here we can find that we are adding them in any order. So children, here also associative property of addition would be used. So kindly mention the properties beside these questions. Okay. Now similarly, children, for question number 2, here now children, multiplication we are supposed to perform, and here also the numbers we have, those are more than two numbers. So here again we will have to write down the associative property itself. Commutative we would have written only if we have two numbers. Commutative property is for multiplication is a into b equals to b into a. Since here we have three numbers, so it will be associative property of multiplication, children. Okay, so here also kindly mention the properties. Similarly, children, here all the questions we will be doing with the associative property of multiplication only. So here everywhere you are supposed to mention the associative property. Now for question number 3, children, here we are as in reducing this term. So children, what this is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. Here we are doing the distribution as in, and here also children, it is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. So we have mentioned the same property over here. Similarly, for question number C, children, now this is also distributive property of multiplication, but it is over subtraction. We are doing the subtraction operation over here. And in D question, children, again we are doing the same distribution, but now this time we will be adding. So children, we are supposed to mention properties for all the question. Kindly mention the property which we have used in each and every question. Okay, so when you are doing the fair work, kindly mention the properties. So this is what I had to say about this exercise 2.2, children. Now next thing that we will be discussing is children, we have to discuss a topic that is the Roman numbers. This is not in your exercise part, but children, it is after your exercise 1.3. Okay, so here this is a very small part, and this is one of the important part, and we will be discussing it. So children, like for Roman numerals, we use the alphabetical symbols instead of numbers. Like I stands for 1, V stands for 5, X stands for 10, I. Then here L, children, this is a mistake. Here L should be the number. I will correct it. So L should be the number. So L stands for 50, C stands for 100, D stands for 500, and M stands for 1000. Okay, so children, now there is no symbol for 0 in Roman number, and also we does not use any concept of place value in Roman numbers. Okay, now we have a rule that any of the symbol cannot be repeated more than 3 times. Okay, so we will just do and see. I will just write it for you, children. The topic, it is Roman numbers. Okay, Roman numbers. So children, mostly the numbers that we use, it is I for 1, V for 5, X for 10, then we have L for 50, C for 100, D for 500, and M for 1000. And so the very first foremost rule that we have is none of the numbers is repeated more than 3 times. See, we have written 3 this way, but when we write 4, what do we write? We write first I to the left of number V. So children, whenever, here also we have a rule that whenever a smaller number is written to the left side of a bigger number, that means it is getting subtracted from the bigger number. Okay, that means, this means V is your 5, I is your 1, so it means 5 minus 1 equals to 4. Okay, and whenever any number is written to the right of the bigger number, like here 5 is the bigger number and here I is written to the right side, this means it is getting added up. So this means children, V equals to 5 and I equals to 1. So 5 plus 1, we will have the answer 6 over here for this. Okay, and children, we have few more rules for this. Let us see what are those rules. Those rules are as follows children, that whenever we write any lesser value in front of the higher value, the sum, it will get added up. Like children, x is your 10 and we have written 5 6 7, 7 to the left of it, that means 7 will get added with this 10, so we will have the answer as 17. And whenever a lesser value is written to behind the higher value, it means it is getting subtracted. So children, here you can see xc, so x is 10 and c is your 100, so x means 10 is getting subtracted from 100, so it is 100 minus c, that is 90. So now children, we have the rule that V, L and D can never be subtracted. V stands for 5, L stands for 50 and D stands for 500. Okay, then children, and they are also never repeated. Of course, you can see children, when we are writing the numbers, you would have seen that we are repeating 1 3 times, we are repeating x 3 times, but we never repeat V, we never repeat D, L and also D. These are not repeated. Okay, these are not repeated in Roman numbers. Okay, and also this cannot be subtracted. This cannot be subtracted. So this is the rule which we have to keep in mind children when we are dealing with the Roman numbers. Okay, now we will see the next point what we have. It is so over here that then it never gets subtracted. Now children, I can only be it can only get subtract from V and X. That means I can get subtracted from 5 and 10 only, and 10 can get subtracted from L and C, that is 50 and 100 only. Then C means 100 and it can get subtracted from D and M, that is 500 only. Okay, and I and V are never written to the left of L or C. That means it is the rule that I is can only be subtracted from V. That means I can write IV, I can write IX, but I cannot write IL or IC. Okay, only X, that means 10 can be, I can write XL, that means X is your I'm sorry children, X is your 10 and L is your 50. So it is written in the left side. So 50 minus 10 is your 40. Or XC, what is your XC? It means, I will just show you children. Like if I write XC. Okay, so what does this mean? C is your 100 and X is your 10, so this means 90. Or if I write XL, this means 50, L is your 50 and X is your 10, so this means 40. So I and V, they are never written to the left of this C and L, and I can only get subtracted from V and I can only get subtracted from X. I cannot be subtracted from any other bigger number. It cannot get subtracted from 50 or 100. Okay, so this is the rule which we are always following when we are doing the Roman numbers children. Then third rule children, we have like the numbers like 99. Okay, so children, when we will write down 99, we will not write IC. I means 1 is getting subtracted from C, but this is not valid because I can only be subtracted from X and V. So how we will represent this 99? We will write down this 99 as 90 plus 9. So how we will write down 90? 90 will be xc. xc will be your 90, that means 10 getting subtracted from 100, and 9 will be 1 getting subtracted from 10. Okay, so that's why it has been written this way. Now children, one more rule we have, that L is never written to the left of C. C means your 100, and L is never written to the left of C. That means LC will be actually 50. Okay, LC means C is your greater value. We'll just do and see so that it becomes easy for you to understand. We have the rules children, that L is never written to the left of C. What does this mean? C is your 100 and L is your 50. That means 100 minus 50 is your 50. But we already have a value for 50, that is your L. So we need not be, L is never written to the left of 50, never written. Okay, this is also one of the rules to be followed. Then children, finally we have the final rule, that in Roman number, a line or a bar is put above the number when it is getting multiplied with 10,000. That means children, we will just do and see this question. Suppose I have to mention any number, like any number can be repeated 3 times. So if I will write 3m, what does this mean? This means 3000. But when I have to mention this 4000 children, how will I mention? This is my 4 and a bar above it. This bar means this is number is getting multiplied by 1000. This bar means. Similarly, if I will have to write down 5000, how will I write 5 bar? That means 5 is getting multiplied with 1000. This is also one of the rules which is supposed to be taken care when we are dealing with Roman numbers, children. Okay, now children, here we have some questions given for you. You can try these questions yourself as in. So I will be sharing these two slides with you, and also I will be sharing children these slides where the property is mentioned for 2.2. So kindly do this as in needful. And that's all for children. We will discuss the other topics on other video. Thank you so much children.